Hello, everyone. It's a nice, intimate ZAZENKAI today. Hopefully, a couple of more faces will wander in. So, who's our Doan today? Okay. I was just going to try something new for our just today, since it's a small group. I just want to recite the Heart Sutra. Okay. So this is. I'm not sure why I'm doing this, but I was reciting it yesterday, and I just did it more as a matter of expression. And you'll see what I'm going to do. So when we get to the Heart Sutra, I'll talk it through. Okay? All right. If you've been here before, have you guys been here before? You know what to do. And if it's your first time, just follow along. Don't forget our extra bell after whose names have been forgotten or left unsaid. And the bell, when I get up on the mat, the fourth bell, wait for me for the fourth bell, right? I get up there and I bow. Okay, there we go. Let's go.
Hanya Haramita Shingyo
Yojin Hanya Haramita Ji Shoken Go Om Kaiku Doi Saiku Yaku Sharishi Shiki Fui Ku Fui Shiki Shiki Sokuze Ku Sokuze Shiki Juso Gyo Shiki Yakubu Nyoze Shadishi Ze Shoho Kuso Fusho Fumetsu Fuku Fujo Fuzo Fugen Ze Kokuchu Fushiki Fu Juso Gyoshiki Fu Genni bi Ze Shinni Fu Shiki Shoko mi Sokuho Mu Genkai Naishi Ishiki Kai Mu Mu Myo Yaku Mu Mu Myo Jin Naishi Muroshi Yaku Muroshi Jin Mu Kushu Metsudo Muchi Yaku Mu Tokui Mu Shotoko Bodai Sata e Hanya Haramita Ko Ukege Ko Mu Kufu Onri Isai Tendomuso Kugyo Nehan Sanze Shobutsu e Hanya Haramita Ko Toku Anoku Tara San Myaku San Bodai Hochi Hanya Haramita Zedai Jinshu Zedai Myoshu Zedai Mujoshu Zemu Todo Shu Nojo Isaiku Shinjitsu Fukoko Setsu Hanya Haramita Haragyate Harasogyate Oji Soaka Hanya Shingyo.
The identity of relative and absolute. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately conveyed west and east, while human faculties are both wise or dull. In no way there are no northern or southern ancestors. The subtle shore shines clear in the light, the branching streams flow in the dark. To be attached to things is primordial illusion. To encounter the absolute is not yet enlightenment. All spheres, every sense and feel, intermingling even as they shine alone, interacting even as they merge, yet keeping their places and expressions of their own. Lights differ primarily in shape and character, in sounds and harsh or soothing tones. The dark makes all words one. The brightness distinguishes good and bad phrases. The four elements return to their true nature as a child turns to its mother. Fire is hot, water is wet, wind moves, and the earth is dense. Eye and form, ear and sound, nose and smell, tongue and taste, the sweet and sour, each independent of the other, like leaves that come from the same root. And though leaves and roots must go back to the source, both roots and leaves have their own uses. Light is also darkness, but do not think of it as darkness. Darkness is light, do not see it as light. Light and darkness are not one, not two, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking. Each thing has its own being, which is not different from its place and function. The relative fits the absolute as a box and its lid. The absolute meets the relative like two arrow points that touch in midair. Hearing this, simply perceive what is, make no criterion. If you do not see the way, you do not see it even as you walk upon it. Walking forward in the way, you draw no nearer, progress no further. One who fails to see this truth is mountains and rivers away. Listen, those who would perceive this subtle matter. Live well your time by night and day. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, reality existing right here and now. In reciting the heart of the perfection of Great Wisdom Sutra and the identity of relative and absolute, we dedicate our sincere efforts to Shakyamuni Buddha, honored one, the historical Buddha and teacher, and to those ancestral teachers, Ehe Dogen, honored one, Soji Keizan, honored one, all successive honored ones up until Zuigaku Renpo, honored one, and Gudo Wafu, honored one, and to all other honored ones throughout history, male and female honored ones, whose names have forgotten left unsaid. We also dedicate these efforts to the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to all awakened ones and teachers in all places and time. We especially seek tranquility and well-being for all creatures now suffering or ill in health. May they be serene through all their ills. May their lives be at peace and wisdom pervade the darkness of ignorance. We dedicate our hopes and aspirations to all victims of war and violence and natural events, to the injured and to all families touched by these tragedies, to the healing of hatred in all countries and among all people, to the wisdom and compassion of our world leaders, to the peace of the world and the harmony of all beings. Thus let the harmful effects of words, thoughts, and actions be dispelled, and compassion bloom in perpetual spring. May we all realize and live the enlightened way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time. Om Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Maha Prajna, Paramita.
Zazen? Inhale. Zazen? We will have a long kinhin. we will have a talk with Zazen. With Zazen. We'll have the verse to open the sutras at the start. One second, I'm missing something. All right. Let's begin.
The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we here receive and maintain this. Do we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning? The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. Do we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning? The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Well, Master Dogen's Tenzo Kyokun, the instructions for the cook, are for all of us. It's another one of his writings from long ago that speaks to you and to me, to the cooks in the temple and the cooks in the family kitchen, to the computer programmers and the moms and dads, to the checkout person in the grocery. That's one of the lessons I want you to see, is these words come from so many centuries ago. They come right here, you see. There's a wonderful perspective of Buddhism through all of this piece and all Master Dogen's writings and all our practice, that whatever is being done is all the universe doing it. And what is being done now is all time. So you see, when the cook was cooking in the temple in the 13th century, or when the checkout person was checking out in the 21st century, it's the whole universe checking out, man. The universe checking out the checking out that's to be checked out. I got a proof for you of that. You know, people sometimes say, is the universe intelligent and conscious? Of course it is, because you are, you see. What do you think you are? So when you program your computer, when you paint your painting, it's the whole universe. And that is the theme of the Tenzo Kyokun. If you're going to paint your painting or check out your groceries, do it well. Do it with care. See that it's a sacred and special doing, because you know what is not a sacred and special doing in this world? Nothing. Well, nothing unless you think it's not special and sacred. And if you think it's special and sacred, and you realize that, and you realize that it's the whole universe flowing through you as you nurse your baby or stir your soup for lunch, then it is. So with that in mind, let's read the first paragraph. And he's going to speak about ancient realized monks. And I want to hear it as something for all of us. Since ancient times, this office of the cook has been held by realized monks who have the mind of the way, or by senior disciples who have roused the way-seeking mind. This work requires exerting the way. Those entrusted with this work, and by the way, fill in not only cook here, but fill in computer programmer and translator and bus driver and mom and dad. Those entrusted with this work, but who lack the way-seeking mind, will only cause and endure hardship despite all their efforts. The Zen monastic standard states, putting the mind of the way to work, serve carefully varied meals appropriate to each occasion, and thus allow everyone to practice without hindrance. A couple of things to note here. First off, he speaks about this office being held by realized monks, but a better way to say it would be realizing monks, or realizing you. Because realizing is not something you get in your head and then it stops. It's what you do now. It's how you drive the bus now, how you program the computer now, how you stir the soup now, you see. You can do it with a way-seeking mind that realizes the specialness, the sacredness of this moment, or you can do it as just an obstacle, a job to get by. So I like, better than realized individuals, realizing individuals who are constantly seeking and bringing to life the way, you see. This is what you do. And what happens in one moment may not happen in the next. One moment you may do something in a good and sacred way, and the next moment maybe not, and you're filled with anger, or you're filled with divided thinking, and it's up to you. It's up to you. You ever drive the car or stir the soup, and one time you're just at home and doing that, and the next moment your mind is a million different places. Your heart is filled with worries. It's up to you. It's your heart, it's your mind that's doing that. Stirring the soup or doing whatever job you have to do is just the job, but the mind and the heart you bring into it is up to you, you see. The other thing you'll see about these instructions as we go through is that they're practical, yet sacred. Sacred, yet practical. He's giving practical pointers here. He's saying, if you do a half-assed job, the monks are going to be hungry. The meal will be late. Your company will be a disaster. Your office, your home will be a mess. Be careful. He's not asking for perfection, by the way. There may never be perfection. Have you ever cooked? Have you ever done a job? Yesterday I was just repairing the driveway with stones, and I miscalculated the number of stones. I had to go back to the store and get more stones to fix a hole in our driveway because I made a mistake. Nothing's ever perfect. Now, by the way, I think I put too many stones, but that's another topic. Every time my car goes over the stone, boom, I think, now I have to take stones away. There's no job that's ever perfectly done, but try to be careful and realize that each stone is sacred. Each stone that you put, each stir, each push of the computer button, each click on the checkout register is sacred. Of course, your baby that you're nurturing, your family, they're sacred. That's easy to realize. So let's talk about his instructions for this cook. The cycle of one day and night begins following the noon meal. At that time, the tenzo, that's the cook in the monastery, the tenzo, should go to the administrator and assistant administrator and procure the rice, vegetables, and other ingredients for the next day's morning and noon meals. You see, even in a temple, big bureaucracy with middle management, upper management, you see. Having received these things, you must take care for them as you would the pupils of your own eyes. Thus, Zen Master Baoning Renyong said, care for the monastery's materials as if they were your own eyes. The tenzo handles all food with respect, as if it were for the emperor. Both cooked and uncooked food should be cared for in this way. I don't think he's literally saying that you have to handle every fork in the kitchen as if it's your own eyes, or every stone I put in the driveway. I don't think I have to literally handle it as my own eye. But, you know, the Chinese and Japanese Zen masters would speak in a very florid way. And what he meant was see it all as sacred. You see, it is. The baby diaper you're changing, sacred. I used to make a little ritual when we changed our son or daughter's diaper. I would bow and do it as if I was doing oryoki with two hands, you know, proper positions, just like we do the mat, you see. And I would lift it, smells good, and then put it down, you see. And then I would bow to the poop. See, everything is sacred ritual if you make it so. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do that every time you're cooking, but when you go into your kitchen, why don't you bow before you turn on the stove and get started? And when you're done with the cooking the meal, why don't you bow and say thank you with gratitude, even if you don't make it all a ceremony, you see? Even if you're just opening the instant rice and pouring it and adding water, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that you're alive to do that, you see. You, by the way, know, well, they have actually instant rice here in Japan. I was going to say the Japanese would never eat instant rice, but really they do. Really they do. That's another theme I want you to get here. Not all Japanese live this way. Not even all Japanese monks live this way all the time. If you go into the average temple, the family kitchen, and you open the closet, I bet you they got the instant noodles in there too, you see, and the frozen food in the freezer. They don't always, you know, monks don't always live like this. But there is a time in the monastery when we do oryoki, when we do the kitchen preparations, that every gesture, every motion we do is sacred. And that is what Master Dogen is speaking of here, even if you can't really live like this all the time, you know. Do not just leave washing the rice or preparing the vegetables to others, but use your own hands, your own eyes, your own sincerity. I always tell this to my teenage son, do the job yourself. Don't wait for someone else to pick up your socks or clean your room, you see. Do not fragment your attention, but see what each moment calls for. If you take care of just one thing, then you will be careless of the other. Do not miss the opportunity of offering even a single drop into the ocean of merit or a grain atop the mountain of the roots of beneficial activity. Now, first off, again, this is practical instructions. They had 3 meals a day to serve in the monastery. They still do. Actually, this is a funny thing. 2 meals and 1 extra little meal we don't talk about. You see, in traditional South Asian Buddhism, you had to stop eating at noon. So the monks would get up about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they'd sit zazen, and then they have an early breakfast. And then just before noon, they'd have their big meal, you see. And you are not supposed to eat for the rest of the day, according to the Buddha's Vinaya instructions. There are some exceptions. I think some places let you have a little honey. You can have some juice, but you're not supposed to have a meal. Well, when it came to Northern Asia, it was cold. So they said, well, we need to have an evening meal. And they usually, when you go to a Chinese monastery, for example, They bring out some noodles. You have a little noodles dish or some dumplings. But they don't call it a meal. They call it medicine, or stomach warming. So technically, it's not a meal. But still, the cook has to get 3 meals out a day. And to do this, as anyone who's worked in any business knows, any office, any family, you got to be on time. It can't be a disaster. You can't burn the toast. You know, you got how many monks in the monastery? 50, 100, 150 mouths to feed. You have to run it like a professional kitchen. That's what Master Dogen is saying here. Now, but notice one interesting phrase. He says, if you take care of just one thing, then you will be careless of the other. I thought Zen was all about doing one thing in one moment, you see. If you're stirring the soup, just stir the soup. Let the toast burn. Let the rice overflow. Just stir the soup. You're doing the one thing. No. If you're a cook in a Zen kitchen, you're multitasking, my friend, just like most of us in this busy, crazy world. There is a great misunderstanding in Zen that or all of Buddhism, that what you're supposed to do is just one thing in one moment. If you're drinking the tea, just drink the tea. Let the rest of the world go to hell. Yes, there is a time to do that. In South Asian practice, there's a kind of vipassana practice where you focus on doing one thing in one moment. When we sit Zazen, there's nothing else. We're sitting Zazen. There's nothing else. Can everybody hear okay again? Okay. So as I was trying to say, when you're multitasking, it's the whole universe multitasking. Just be with that moment. When you have to do 10 jobs, when there's only time for 5, it's the whole universe that has 10 jobs to do in the time it takes to do 5. Just be with that. You see, to be an actual cook in the kitchen, that's what it requires. There's a difference between being in the moment, like I must do one thing in only this moment, and being in the moment, allowing the moment, letting it flow, no matter what that moment is, which may be just crazy chaos. If the world is crazy chaos with a million things going on and the phone is ringing and the salesman is knocking at the door and the kid is crying, that's your universe in that moment. Be there. See. You think everything in the monastery kitchen always went to plan? Every day was a different meal. Some days, what's wrong with this omelet? It's not cooking. I don't know if they eat omelets in a Buddhist monastery, by the way. I don't think that's vegetarian enough. Usually they're eating vegetarian food, but you get my point. All right. Remember that obstacles, this is another theme here. Remember that obstacles are not obstacles. They're your life. They're gifts. They're where this practice comes alive. Listen to this story. Be careful of sand when you wash the rice. If you get fresh rice here, it comes in a bag. It's filled from the ground. It's filled with sand. You have to wash the rice before you cook it. Otherwise, you get crispy, sandy rice with sand in your teeth. See, I know because I've done that. Not properly washing the rice. My mother-in-law trained me, so that's not a problem anymore. But when I first tried, I first learned, I had sandy rice. So be careful of sand when you wash the rice. Be careful of the rice when you throw out the sand. Xie Feng once practiced this tenzo under Zen master Dongshan in the 9th century. Once when he was washing rice, Dongshan said, "Do you wash the sand away from the rice or the rice away from the sand?" Xie Feng said, "I wash them both away together." Dongshan said, "Then what will the community eat?" Xie Feng knocked over the washing bowl. Dongshan said, and I think this is a criticism, you should go and study with someone else too soon. And maybe we should get someone else to do the cooking. Now, what's the point here? Probably something like, there are the good things in life and the obstacles. And you want to get the obstacles away and keep the good, the nurturing. The rice is an obstacle. It's something we must get rid of to find the purity of the rice. But Dongshan said, no, I'm so beyond that. I'm so lost in emptiness that I'm just going to see beyond the rice, see beyond the sand until the great emptiness where it's all beyond good and bad, nutritious or poison. It's all beautiful. And so the other guy says, okay, that's great, Buster. Sounds like good Zen. What are we going to have for lunch? So the other guy knocked over the lunch. No. Being lost in emptiness is not the practicality of the cooking, the work you must do here. And know that the sand and the rice are really not two. Yes, we want to get rid of the sand to keep the good of the rice. But it's all your life. It's all you must do now. See, don't hate the sand and love the rice. Get rid of the rice. Oops, I said it backwards. Get rid of the sand and keep the rice. But don't hate either. It's all what you need to do, you see. So in a monastery too, we try not to waste. Keep the white water with which you have washed the rice. Do not wastefully discard it. In ancient times, they used a cloth bag to strain the white water and used it to boil the rice when making gruel. I just think that this is a statement by Master Dogen of a great simple environmentalism, something we all need to learn. How much we throw away. Waste not, want not. The water that comes out, when you strain the rice, there's a lot of starch in it. It's just starchy water. But my wife and my mother-in-law, they use it for a million things, including the laundry. Sometimes my Buddhist collar, they take and they put that starch from the rice right on there, you see. Or they can make various soups and other recipes with that. Or sometimes they just put it in the garden to nurture the flowers, you see. After cooking the vegetables for the morning meal, and before preparing rice and soup for the noon meal, bring together the rice pots and other utensils and make sure that everything is well ordered and clean. Put whatever goes to a high place in a high place, and whatever goes in a low place in a low place, so that high and low, everything settles in the place appropriate for it. Chopsticks for vegetables, ladles, and all other tools should be chosen with great care, cleansed thoroughly, and placed well. First off, this is just practical advice for a busy kitchen, is it not? If you've been to a professional kitchen, they don't want to spend hours searching for their knife, searching for the chopsticks. You reach out, there it is. You reach for the chopsticks, there it is. But a couple of cautions here. Well, let me add one thing. In China, there is the belief that everything has its own reason. I think we believe this too in the West, that if you're going to use a computer, use it correctly. If you're going to use a fork, hold it at a knife or a fork, hold it at the right end so it doesn't stab you in the hand. There's a right way and a wrong way. But they really, 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 really believe this in Asia. It's almost like an ideal image like Aristotle had of the universe is filled with the ideal fork, and there's an ideal way to use it, and there's an ideal way to use a pot. Let me show you, for example, the bell here. If I ring it the right way, it makes a lovely sound. But if I ring it kind of the wrong way, or it makes a clunking sound. Well, the Chinese and the Japanese too tend to believe that everything is like that. There's a right way to do it. We posted a video of Zen in Europe, and you see that there's a great emphasis on doing things with great precision. That's part of it too. Everything has a certain music that must be played in the right and harmonious way. Chopsticks must be placed in their right place. The high objects in the high place, the low objects in the low place. There's a reason to the universe. But let me tell you something. I represent the Inspector Columbo school of Zen. Remember Columbo? He was always a little frumpy. And I mean, I was looking at myself today. I meant to iron my kessa, and I remembered, oh, you didn't iron your kessa this month. And I put it on there, and I'm really looking here like frumpy Columbo in my rumpy kessa today, and I'm a little unshaven. If you go in my kitchen, I and my son, we do the dishes most nights. I'm the one in charge of putting things in the drawer. I try to put the knives in the knife drawer and the forks in the fork drawer. But you know what? If you look in our kitchen, you're going to find knives with the forks and forks with the knives. And it's okay. It's okay. Not everything has to be precise if you do not wish. As long as you're in harmony with the moment and it's not a great obstacle to life. As a matter of fact, life is sometimes chaos. I would prefer that you flow and be in harmony with the chaos if it's not too bad. Now, if you really have dirty dishes piled up in the sink, you're going to get sick. If you never can find a knife when you need one, that's horrible inefficiency. But a little chaos, what's the problem? So I'm a little less precise than Master Dogen. If you go to a monastery, maybe everything has to be done bump, 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 bump. I'm for the Detective Columbo school of Zen. It's okay to, kind of muddle through a little bit. Now, my wife, she's always changing the kitchen on me every time I go. I don't know what this is. Twice a week, she moves this thing over here and that thing over here. I'm looking for the coffee in the morning. Where's the coffee? That's the new place for the coffee. Oh, okay. So I get the coffee. 2 days later, I go back. No coffee there. Where? I put the coffee over here. I don't know what that is. But I have to flow with that too. That's my universe. Yes, dear. Tomorrow the coffee will be in another place. When preparing the vegetables or ingredients for the soup, which you have received from the ware's office, the storage house, do not disparage the quantity or quality, but instead handle everything with great care. Do not despair or complain about the quantity of the materials. Throughout the day and night, practice the coming and going of things as arising in the mind turning and displaying itself as things. Just great advice for life. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Don't say that this is poor ingredients and these are rich ingredients. If I only had this, this would be wonderful. Use with care and cherish and bow to with gratitude what life gives you, even if it's rotten. If that's all you get. I'm not saying you want to eat rotten food every day. It'll make you sick. But I knew that Bernie Glassman, as part of their street retreats, they have done dumpster searching, I believe, if I remember the story. And they went into the dumpster, and it's amazing what comes out of restaurants and stores, and they bow, and they eat it. Sometimes, it sounds terrible, but it's healthy food. It's just the expiration date slightly passed, or it didn't sell, they have too much quantity, they dump it. People go in, and they bow. Most middle-class people, it makes me a little queasy to think about, but I know people who have done this practice. It nurtures life. It's not bad food. It's just what we in our modern society think is extra, excess, wasteful. It's 2 days over the expiration date. It's perfectly fine. It's not going to make you sick. They bow with gratitude. Whatever life gives you, bow with gratitude. Stop thinking about quantity. Stop thinking about quality. There's a story that I believe is told elsewhere where some days they had lots of rice and they made a rich rice porridge every morning and had a great breakfast. And some days the donations were a little scarce. Like me, some days, nobody shows up. You still do it with all your heart and mind, for the people who do. And the point of the story was, if all you have is porridge so thin that it's basically water with a few grains of rice in it, thank you, it's delicious. You see, take what life gives you. Okay, let me move ahead. The tenzo should always be present at the sink when the rice is being soaked and the water measured. Watching with clear eyes, ensure that not a single grain is wasted. Washing it well, place it in the pots. Make a fire and boil it. An old teacher said, regard the cooking pots as your own head, the water as your own lifeblood. Again, everything is sacred if you see it this way. Do you see this microphone I'm speaking in here? Right? It's there every week. We need this microphone. Thank you. And everyone, Mr. Microphone, anyone tell you thank you before? Thank you. Sorry if I forgot to think that every day and I just took you for granted. So much in your life. You see, the whole universe is here. Even the bad things are here to make your life. Onkai, the door I see behind you, you need that door to walk through. Jonin, I see some pillows or something, some towels behind you. That's your life, you see. Shingen, I see a window behind you with the sky. That lets you look through, you see. It's all sacred, it's all special. In preparing the food, never view it from the perspective of usual mind or on the basis of feeling tones. In other words, how you feel about it. Oh, I like this. This is really good. This other, oh, pizza again? Like that. No. That's a fancy way to say. Never view it from the perspective of usual mind or on the basis of feeling tones. Taking up a blade of grass, erect magnificent monasteries. There's a story of the Buddha. I think he took a blade of grass, he put it in the ground, and it became a magnificent pagoda, you see. See each blade of grass as the whole universe, as a diamond, as a jewel, you see. Each grain of rice is a diamond, a jewel. That window, the door, the pillows, you, the zafus behind me, this whole world, jewels upon jewels, even the things we don't welcome, you see. Taking up a blade of grass, erect magnificent monasteries. Turn the wheel of reality within a grain of dust. If you only have wild grasses with which to make a broth, do not disdain them. If you have ingredients for a creamy soup, do not be delighted. Where there is no attachment, there can be no aversion. Do not be careless with poor ingredients, and do not depend on fine ingredients to do your work for you, but work with everything with the same sincerity. If you do not do so, then it is like changing your behavior according to the status of the person you meet. That is not how a student of the way should be. Yesterday, my wife had a flat tire. She got a nail in it. She took it to the shop. They fixed it. And it delayed her, kept her from getting home on time. She had had a busy day. Her mother's not feeling well, and she had a tiring day taking care of her mother and just wanted to get home. And there's a flat tire and a nail. And she could have gotten so mad at that nail. I know my wife. That nail is your life. That is the bitter ingredient that you're handed that day. Bow to it. Oh, we want to get the nail out of the tire. Oh, we want to get the tire rolling and back to home. And we will. But in the meantime, thank you, tire. Thank you, nail. Thank you, road. See, that's our attitude as Zen students. Stop thinking things as this is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is bitter. This is sweet. I have a sweet tooth. I don't like my spinach. This is the nail that gets in my way. This is the beautiful highway that I can roll down. Oh, yeah, we're human beings. You do that too. I'm not saying, you have to eat poison and treat it. There's a saying that miso soup, the miso they make miso soup at? It looks like pardon my language, it looks like the poo from my child's diaper when you get it, really. So there's a saying in Japanese. Japanese have these wonderful sayings. They said, don't confuse your miso with the poo. You see. Because they look the same. So I'm not saying that you should treat the poo, even though it's sacred and you bow to it, as the miso, which you make your soup with. Of course, as human beings, we keep our miso and the soup apart. We keep our poison away, the rat poison away from the sugar. Of course we do. At least I hope we do. But as Zen students, we also treat it all as what it is. If life hands you poo that day, I'm not saying you should eat it, but that's what life has given you. Hopefully tomorrow it will be miso for the soup. That you still do not grasp the certainty of this principle is because your thinking scatters like wild horses. He's, by the way, recommending Zazen here to help you do all these tasks. That's what he's talking about, Zazen, where your mind is running like wild horses and monkeys, you see. That you still do not grasp the certainty of this principle is because your thinking scatters like wild horses and your emotions run wild like monkeys in a forest. If you can make those monkeys and horses just once take the backward step that turns the light and shines it inward, then naturally you will be completely integrated. The monkey will lie down with the horse. The sheep will lie down with the lion. Your heart will settle, you see. And what seemed like a great task will suddenly seem like just what needs to be done. And the nail in the tire where you wanted to say, oh, will just suddenly be something to bow to in just what is. If the mind settles, life changes. I've told you these stories many times, being in the hospital bed. 1 minute, I don't want to be here. Let me hit that switch. It's fine. This is the place to be. There's no other place in the universe. This is my practice place. This is it. This is the whole universe in this bed. Next moment, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Next moment. It's lovely. It's beautiful. See? We have the power within us to let the monkeys and the horses settle down and to turn that light and let it shine inward. Then naturally you will be completely integrated. Lovely word. This is the means by which we, who are ordinarily set into motion by things, become able to set things into motion. I think that means something like, instead of being a slave to what circumstances hand you, you're kind of master of the circumstances because you settle and let what is be is and just work from there. Something like that. You got it? Life hands you crap. You can be, overwhelmed by it. Crap, I'm drowning. Or just let it be the master of it, and just deal with the crap. Pardon my French today. I'm using all those words like crap and poo. You see. Harmonizing and purifying yourself in this manner, do not lose either the one eye of transcendent wisdom, the emptiness, the wholeness beyond miso and poo, beyond nails and tires, you see. Or the two eyes of discriminating consciousness. Ah, this is poo. We don't put the poo in the soup. Ah, this is a nail. We want to get the nail out of the tire. To be a Zen student, you need both. To see beyond the poo, beyond the miso, beyond the tire, beyond the nail. And also, nails are nails, tires are tires, poo is poo, and miso is miso. See both at once. That's all this is. Lifting a single piece of vegetable, make yourself into a 6-foot body, a Buddha, and ask that 6-foot body to prepare a single piece of vegetable. That vegetable is the universe. Your cooking is the universe. The universe is cooking through you. You are the universe. You are the universe cooking the universe. Okay. Let's finish up here with a famous story that doesn't really need explaining except one thing here. This says, just accept things as they are. I hope this guy was wearing sunscreen. If you're going to do a job like this out in the hot sun, still, you know, this is about the sacred is practical, the practical is sacred. Okay, out there sweating, working with the mushrooms like he's doing, wonderful. But listen, skin cancer is a real concern. Wear a hat. That's my only concern about this story. The rest of it is going to be very clear. Once when I was staying at Tiancheng Temple, a monk named Lu from Qingguanfu held the post, Lu from Qingguanfu, held the post of Tenzo. Once, following the noon meal, I was walking along the eastern covered walkway when I came upon Lu in front of the Buddha hall, drying mushrooms in the sun. He had a bamboo stick in his hand and no hat covering his head. That's the part that gets to me. Put on a hat, Lu. You're no kid. You know, if Shokai was here, he just had on his ear, you know about that, right? Put on a hat, Lu. Okay. The heat of the sun was blazing on the paving stones. It looked very painful. His back was bent like a bow, and his eyebrows were as white as the feathers of a crane. I went up to the Tenzo and asked, "How long have you been a monk?" 68 years, he said. I guess that would make him at least in his 70s, late 70s, something like that. Why don't you have an assistant to do this for you? Other people are not me. Venerable sir, I can see how you follow the way through your work, but still, why do you do this now with the sun so hot? If not now, when? There was nothing else to say. And there's nothing else to say. But I will entertain a question or two from the Shonin. Yes, something?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Okay. Just wanted to share a little story. In our last retreat in San Francisco, I had the opportunity to spend the day with the Chan monks in the Wangzhangxi temple, and they offered me lunch. I had lunch with them, and it was a great experience because I have never been to China, and I had the opportunity to have monastic lunch with them, and it was amazing in the way that it was so simple and so plain that it was a full teaching because you don't actually need your flavor, and they do this because they don't want to create attachments to food. And it was very interesting the way they lead their nutrition. They're very careful with it, but they tend to not to create great culinary experiences. They just eat because that's medicine to their practice, for their practice. So I adopted a couple of ideas from there, and that's how we make lunch here at home with the less explosive flavors as possible. And it's funny, the more simple and natural your food is, the better your health gets. So it was a great teaching because I learned about being mindful on how to prepare your meals and how you can actually take care of the health of others by preparing good meals. So I guess this reading on the Tenzo Kyokun remind me of that.
I will just add this. Actually, in China and in Japanese monasteries, they avoid things like garlic and onions for a few reasons. They were supposed to be stimulating, you know. Actually, they make you sexy, they thought. You see, they didn't want that. But I think it's okay. I think it's okay. The other thing is the we don't want garlic when we're all sitting like this on the zafus there. You see, there's also that practical. You know, you don't want to be now. No comment. I was going to make a statement about no. Anyway, you want to be practical, you're sitting next to someone. So that's another reason not to do it. Now, the other thing is the diet in the Japanese monastery, from a nutritional point of view, may not actually be ideal. It's the traditional belief about vegetarianism, but sometimes they may eat a little bit out of balance too. So it's okay to modify it slightly too. After eating all that rice in the monastery for a couple of weeks, you know, I usually come out of there, how to say, a pretty stuffed, if you get my drift. Okay. Any other question?
Right.
I've only got 2 other people here, so any other question? Okay. All right. So you eat whatever you were given. That's very good attitude. Very good. Well, with that in mind, let's have the verse to close the sutra, and then we will have a sitting and a kinhin beyond long and short.
May the merits of these teachings penetrate into each thing and all places, so that we and every sentient being together may realize the Buddha's way. All Buddhas throughout space and time. All Bodhisattvas, Mahasattva, Maharajna, Paramita.
All right, we will now have a super short zazen, and I will now intentionally ring the bell the wrong way to show you that everything does have a right and wrong way, even though we're beyond all that too. Ready? Zazen. Now we are going to go next into directly into our sacred and special hokey pokey. But we're going to do it a little special today. It's always special. It's always sacred. But remember, when you hokey pokey, it's the whole universe hokying and poking. It is a ritual. Just because it's funny and we're laughing doesn't mean it's not deadly serious. So today, I did the Heart Sutra at the beginning. I want to explain what we're going to do now. I did the Heart Sutra at the beginning, and I did it as kind of a talking poem. I heard a pop song on the radio yesterday, and the man spoke it through. I said, let me try that with the Heart Sutra. And mildly interesting today. Well, I think next month we're going to go back to the regular way. But now we're going to do the hokey pokey as a traditional chant. Boom, 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 boom. I got my mokagyo. I got my bell. And when we do the hokey pokey today, we're going to do it like those monks we saw in Europe. I would like you to have your elbows at a 90-degree angle. When you move, gestures graceful and straight, please. When you turn in right angle, as if it was formal ritual kinhin. I'd like to have those corners nice and square. Are you clear? All right.
Very clear. Thank you.
It will be the Maka Hokey Pokey. Let us rise. Maka Hokey Pokey. You put the right hand out, you pull the right hand in, you put the right hand out, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put the left hand out, you pull the left hand in, you put the left hand out, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put the right leg in, you pull the right leg out, you put the right leg in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You do the left leg in, you pull the left leg out, you pull the left leg in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. You put your backside in, you pull your backside out, you put your backside in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself about. That's what it's all about. I believe that proves one thing. You see, when Master Dogen said, put high things on the high shelf and put low things on the low shelf, there's a reason. There's a reason we sing the hokey pokey as the hokey pokey and don't chant it. There's a reason we chant the Heart Sutra and don't talk it. Zazen. very long, Kinhin? We will now recite the metaverses, followed by Zazen. Okay, now when we recite the metaverses, I won't chant it like a Japanese sutra, and I won't recite it, and I won't sing it like the hokey pokey. We'll chant the metaverses like the metaverses, because high things in their high place, low things in their low place. Don't change what's already good, as my dad would say. Don't fix it if it's not broken, he would say. Okay? But I will talk us through it a little. I've been doing that the last few times, and some people seem to like it. So as you know, we begin with ourself, and we begin after that with someone we love, and after that we begin again with a friend, and we begin again. It's always a new beginning, right? With someone we barely know, maybe a stranger we passed on the street. Then we begin again with the very difficult person. And everybody in the news yelling at everybody. I wish this was something we all practiced more. And at the end, we begin again with all sentient beings. But of course, the end is just the beginning. It's always the beginning. And chanting for one is chanting for all. You're chanting for yourself. You're chanting for the difficult person. When you're chanting for the difficult person, you're chanting for your friend. When you're chanting for your friend, you're chanting for the stranger who's in there too. We all flow into each other. There can be no friend without a stranger. There can be no loved one without the difficult person. Sometimes they're the same. And all sentient beings. There cannot be all sentient beings without all insentient beings, like the mountains and the trees. But Master Dogen said that, well, you're insentient and you're sentient too, and they are sentient and they are insentient too. Okay? I'm not just killing time, I mean this. This is, got to get in the spirit of this, right? Don't just rush through the chant, really feel what it means. So with that, let's begin with ourself. May I, who is you, who's the difficult person in the news, who's the stranger, who's the mountain and the trees, who's the punk tire, the nail in the tire, the rice in the sand. May I be free of some suffering. May I feel safe and still, even when life is going all to hell. May I feel safe somehow at the most dangerous times and still when life just won't stop. May I be free of enmity. That's hate, anger, violence. May I be loving, grateful for everything, and kind. May I be healthy. Just had my health check this past week, or a couple of weeks ago, and the doctor gave me another thumbs up. But that won't last forever. So May I be at ease in all my ills. May I be at peace. Embracing all. That's a word. I'm going to all conditions of life. I guess I am kind of doing my talk poem here. I'm into that today, you know. Okay, now for a loved one. You have someone in mind? As I said, my mother-in-law is pretty sick. I'll chant for her. May she be free of suffering. May she feel safe and still. May she be free of enmity. May she be loving, grateful, and kind. May she be healthy and at ease in all her ills. May she be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. For a friend? Let's see. May she be free of suffering. May she feel safe and still. May she be free of enmity. May she be loving, grateful, and kind. May she be healthy and at ease in all her ills. May she be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Now for a passing stranger. I actually find this hard because how many people passed us this week we didn't even notice enough to remember them to say this? See, it must have been thousands of people passed in front of my eyes and I didn't see them, or I saw them and they haven't registered here. So let me chant for somehow those people today. May they be free of suffering. May they feel safe and still. May they be free of enmity. May they be loving, grateful, and kind. May they be healthy and at ease in all their ills. May they be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay. Now for the difficult person, and I always have to remind if there's anyone new here, I don't know if there is, that we chant for these people with the idea that if they truly knew peace, if they truly knew freedom from hate, if they truly knew freedom from illness, they would not be acting in that difficult way. That's what we're chanting for. And if it's kind of too late for some people, we wish we could go back in time and chant for them before they became that way. We see all people who do bad, not as bad people. We try to see them as people who have greed, anger, and ignorance inside. So we're chanting for the opposite, you see. Okay? Here. We're going to pick someone in the news. There's so many. May he be free of suffering. May he feel safe and still. May he be free of enmity. May he be loving, grateful, and kind. May he be healthy and at ease in all his ills. May he be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. By the way, I think you guys are great keeping your arms up there the whole time. Boy, it's good. It's good for the... It's lovely. I'm not intentionally going fast or slow, but now we come to all sentient beings everywhere. Let's include the planet. It could use some help too. Okay? May we be free of suffering. May we feel safe and still. May we be free of enmity. May we be loving, grateful, and kind. May we be healthy and at ease in all our ills. May we be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. By the way, you may notice the extra special effects this month. We have the smoke of the incense drifting through. It's actually it's the mosquito coil. It's mosquito season here, so it's the mosquito coil in the corner. But it is a nice effect as it catches the light drifting through. Next month, we'll have dry ice effects in the back. Okay, let's sit one little zazen just where we are. Sit where you are, as you are, with what is. And we'll sit for a few minutes. We will now recite the verse of atonement and the 4 vows.
All harmful words, thoughts, and acts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind. Now I atone for them all. To save all sentient beings, all beings numberless, transform all delusions, all delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, the reality is boundless, to obtain the enlightened way, way not attainable, to save all sentient beings, all beings numberless, to transform all delusions, all delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, the reality is boundless, to obtain the enlightened way, way not attainable, to save all sentient beings, all beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, the reality is boundless, to obtain the enlightened way, the way not attainable.
Well, lovely, lovely, all of you. We're off to the great fireworks festival of Tsuchiura, where it's the National Fireworks Championships tonight here in our town. Shinzan, good to see you. Kyonin, everyone at home, as always. Hey, Shinzan. And may everything, all your high things be in the high shelf and the low things are in the low shelf. But if by some chance the low thing ends up at the high shelf or the high thing on the low shelf, it's not the end of the world, right? Okay. So, see you guys later. Bye-bye. See you guys.